I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about rebuilding intimacy with an ex. You know, if you're going through a breakup, one of the things you're probably trying to figure out is, how am I going to fix this? How are we going to repair this relationship?
Right.
You got to know some strategies, some steps, and some ideas to consider when you're trying to repair a relationship. Margaret's got a great presentation today that's going to talk about, skills in being able to do that and things to consider. But also, this is going to help you even building intimacy with new people.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to meet new people and date new people. What do we got, Margaret?
Okay, what I got here is, and this brings us very conveniently to Erikson's sixth stage, which is intimacy versus isolation. And that goes from age 19 to 40. Okay, now all of these are an approximation, but the idea being that at 19 you're really, much the grown-up, you've come of age, and that, it may take years, but your task is to find a partner that you will enjoy being with. So Erik Erikson and all of his relatives believed that it was vital to develop close, committed relationships with other people. The word intimacy has come to be connected with the concept of sex, but it encompasses much more than that. Erikson described intimate relationships as those characterized by closeness, honesty, and love. Intimacy requires being able to share parts of yourself with others, as well as the ability to listen to and support other people.
Those are important traits.
Oh, yes. These relationships are reciprocal. You are sharing parts of yourself, and others are sharing with you. When this happens successfully, you will gain the support, intimacy, and companionship of another person. But sometimes things don't go so smoothly. You might experience rejection or other responses that cause you to withdraw. It might harm your confidence and self-esteem, making you more cautious about putting yourself out there again in the future, but you have to keep going.
So,
okay?
We're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
We're going to get hurt.
Right.
And I also like how it specifies parts.
Parts. Yeah. You can't share the whole package all at once. Yeah.
And it makes sense that this comes after the identity stage.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Because now we know what we're sharing.
Exactly.
Okay? We've made some sense out of our lives. It doesn't have to be perfectly, but we've made some sense out of our lives. What if you grew up in a family that said, if you lie about something, you'll get in trouble, but if you don't lie, you won't, and you still do? How likely are you going to be to communicate, to talk to people? So a lot can depend on, and in some families that are chaotic, people decide it's just not a good idea to talk to anybody and try to become invisible. So if you grew up in a family that was struggling, revealing yourself can be extremely difficult, okay? All right, factors that can contribute to isolation are fear of commitment.
Big one.
Yep. And nobody has that, do they? Fear of commitment? Fear of intimacy, inability to open up, and troubles with self-disclosure. No matter what the cause, isolation can have a terribly detrimental impact on your life. It may lead to feelings of loneliness and even depression.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay? So,
all makes sense.
yeah. So how to build intimacy? To be open to sharing with others is an important part of the intimacy versus isolation stage. Being intimate. This is more than just engaging in sex. It means forging emotional intimacy and closeness. Intimacy does not necessarily have to be with a sexual partner. People can also gain intimacy from friends and loved ones. Caring for others. It is essential to be able to care about the needs of others. Sometimes our own needs are so overwhelming, and we talk with people whose needs are so overwhelming, it has been hard for them to look at their partner's needs. Okay? But you have to be willing to care for others. Relationships are reciprocal. Getting love is important at this stage, but so is giving it. Okay? Making commitments. That is part of being able to form a strong relationship. It involves being able to commit to others for the long term. Now, if you think about the avoidant folks that we have been so concerned about, all of this is extremely difficult for them, okay? Given whatever hurt they bring with them.
I was also thinking that, and when you were speaking about how isolation can be so difficult,
Yes.
and the repercussions of that, feelings of loneliness,
Yes.
And all of that.
Right. And oftentimes we see avoidance end a relationship only to come back a few weeks or a few months later. Because even though they're reluctant and frightened, we're still all wired to want the connection.
Absolutely.
So you can see how difficult this must be for some people. And I don't think there's a human being alive who feels it's really, really easy to talk about your deepest stuff. Okay? Importance of sense of self. Things learned during the earlier stages of development also play a role in having healthy adult relationships. For example, Erikson believed that having a fully formed sense of self established during the previous identity versus role confusion stage is essential to being able to form intimate relationships. Now, if you're tired of hearing that by now, I don't blame you. Anyway, one of the major things to do to build intimacy is to be self-aware, okay? Look at your situation. What are your needs? And sometimes we don't even think about that. Women, I think particularly, are programmed to think about others' needs. And certainly men who've been in a caretaker role with their mother end up in the same place. And they think more about what they can do with their partner, but by shortchanging themselves. Okay, so evaluate your situation. What are your needs? What kind of relationship are you looking for? All right. Practice self-disclosure. Consider the things you would be willing to share with others and think about the topics that make you anxious. Because remember, you can always talk with your partner about it before you actually reveal it. Okay? So they're saying practice. Just don't feel like you're in it and fumble for words. It's okay to think about what you need to disclose and how you would feel comfortable doing it. Okay?
I also liked how the article included becoming intimate with even friends.
Oh, yes.
Or, it encompasses a large number of roles in your life.
Right.
And I think this is important because you can have different degrees of intimacy
Absolutely.
with different types of people in your life. Like perhaps somebody with a more avoidant attachment style might be more comfortable being very vulnerable and intimate with friends rather than with partners.
Right. Absolutely. And I think there are avoidant people out there who manage to get along fine. They can join a lot of clubs, they can do all sorts of different things like that, where they see other people, they have connections, but it doesn't have to get too close. Okay?
One of the things I've noticed is that some people can be sexually intimate with people, but more like strangers.
Absolutely.
And they can be good with their friends, like Vicky said, and not be able to do it both with one person.
Yeah. One person.
And it takes real health to be able to do that kind of lust aspect of romance and the intimacy and the vulnerable part with the same person.
And some people have learned to separate those two things. And you wonder how they do it. But sometimes it's the only way they can survive. And they can't be that dependent on one person. Now think about it. If you have an abandonment history, can you imagine investing in somebody else sexually and in every other way? It would be very frightening.
I would also think that maybe there's some shame involved or
Absolutely,
guilt.
yes.
You know, if they grew up in a house where there's a lot of guilt or shame from the parents
Absolutely.
about sex.
Yep.
So they have a hard time sharing those fantasies or ideas or whatever with somebody that's they see as their friend and their, partner.
Right. And there are people who've been told, don't tell anybody anything. They'll use it against you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you grew up in a family that has a paranoid flavor, you're not going to tell anybody anything because you can't trust them with it.
Or people in your own family may have used things you've said against you.
Absolutely. That happens all the time. So being intimate sounds easy. It isn't anything of the kind. But it's a goal.
Relationships also need safety.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if there isn't safety, the person's not going to feel safe to share those vulnerable things. Maybe that they're kind of like, I want to tell this person, but I'm afraid that they'll reject me, or they'll dump me, or they won't stay with me, things like that. So you got to always make sure that you're doing your best to let your partner feel safe. And I talk about that in the video. It's an old video, How to Be Her Superman.
Yes.
But it works just as well for men and for women. I just like the title when I came up with it. And that's covered in the workbooks as well. So if you're doing the workbooks, you'll find it in there because it really gets you to think about how to make your partner feel safe and how to create a connection where you can be vulnerable and they can be vulnerable, and you want to at least do your part where they can be vulnerable with you.
And it's not always easy either. But what you want to convey is no matter what you tell me, I'm not going to faint, die, or reject you.
Well, maybe fainting's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so some good stuff there. Hopefully you found it helpful. Let us know in the comments what you thought about this one. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Margaret is available for Skype coaching.
If you feel that I can be helpful, please sign up.
Just click on Margaret in the top of the video. And of course, Coach Victoria will continue to train with us.
I'll still be here.
Training away.
I love the way you say that.
All right, but that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, go to askcraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.